Hi, guys. This is your girl, preacher, teacher, motivational speaker, Lady Falana. Greetings, greetings, greetings. So, as I was sitting here, I'm just kind of cooling out on my porch right now. My spiritual mother's here cooking some fish and a whole bunch of other good. It occurred to me that I really want to have this conversation with you guys, okay? Um, Earlier this week, my bipolar and PTSD kicked in out of control. It was embarrassing, yes. But things happen, you know, and I've just been very fortunate that the past couple of places that I've worked, the management teams have just been so cool, you know. They've been very understanding, and my bosses are clearly not ignorant to the plight of people that are like me that struggle with mental illness. Okay. So I don't know about many of the other mental illnesses. I've made myself, as many of you know, very familiar with narcissism. That right there is a whole different breed. I won't revisit that. But I wanted to take a moment to enlighten those who may not be aware of exactly what bipolar and PTSD is. Okay. So bipolar is actually a chemical imbalance in the brain that can be controlled with medication. Okay. I take, what do I take? Lamotrigine, I take Seroquel, and I forgot the other one, Trazodone, in order to sleep. Because I think without meds, I think like all the time. So without those sleeping pills, I won't get any rest. My brain just doesn't shut down. Okay. So there are actually two levels, I think, of bipolar. One is bipolar one and one is bipolar two. So for many years, I was classified as being bipolar two, which medically, if I recall correctly, bipolar 2 people typically don't want to think about doing harm to others, but they want to do things that are detrimental to themselves. Okay. And a lot of depression and things of that nature. Okay. So bipolar 1, typically that particular person is not only suicidal, but they're also homicidal. Okay. So there are different levels of that. Okay. And without meds and proper treatment and therapy and all that kind of good stuff, I'm classified as being bipolar 1. Glory be to God. I haven't, well, let me get off that. Okay. So now the PTSD part. A lot of people associate PTSD exclusively with our veterans. And God bless you, veterans. Thank you for everything that you do or have done to make our lives better, not only in the United States, but across the world. We thank you. PTSD also can affect civilians. Okay, so I got labeled with the PTSD because of some traumatic things that happened in my childhood, and nothing that my mom and dad did or anything like that, was some things behind the scenes that happened. And because I was what's the word I'm looking for? Date rape twice. Okay. Whole bunch of other stuff too. So anyway, the reason that I wanted to do this broadcast about it is because yes, I am a self-proclaimed mental illness warrior, advocate, whatever one would want to call that. There's such a huge stigma and misunderstanding as to exactly what mental illness is, that there's so many different types of mental illnesses. I mean, the movies and internet even, tend to a lot of times, bring out the more of my, I guess you could say, psychotic family that deal with mental illnesses. And those are very true. However, there are many other mental illnesses, okay? Um, I need you guys to understand something. I'm tempted. About a year and a half ago, I was on a radio show, and this particular preacher, well, back up. The host asked me actually to come on the show to speak about mental illness, meds, things of that nature. And she was actually the co-host with this so-called pastor. But anyway, before I even got to finish my statement, the pastor um, said to me and to the listeners, you don't need medicine, you don't need a doctor, all you need is Jesus. Okay. My response to him was, and his listeners, I made the comment something on the order of, I tell you what, you have your people to not take their high blood pressure medicine, their diabetes medicine, even their cold medicine, and see how that turns out for them. Okay. So the reason that I'm doing this is because I need my family to understand something. Okay. Mental illness is just like any other illness. It is. It's you have many physical illnesses, but you also have mental illnesses also. And it's very hard for people, excuse me, people like me to be forthcoming with that. Like when I first got diagnosed with all this stuff, I was like, there's no way. I'm a strong black woman. I don't need no medicine. I don't need no therapist being off of my business and this is that and the other. And oh my God, for years I fought it. I wouldn't take my medicine right. I wouldn't go to therapy right. And, this is that and other. And so finally one day I had one too many episodes and I said to myself, Felana, if you knew what to do, you would be improving. So I finally surrendered. Okay. I surrendered and I determined for myself that yes, Felana, you have to acknowledge that you are mentally ill. You have to acknowledge that you do suffer from bipolar and PTSD. See, being able to admit that you have a given problem, that is the first step towards resolving that problem. Some years ago I was in a situationship with a gentleman that to date, unfortunately, is fighting crack cocaine addiction. I would occasionally go with him to some of his NA meetings, and one of the steps that's in I think it's 10 steps, you have to admit it. You have to admit there's a problem before you can even begin resolving there's a problem, right? You also have to acknowledge that it's going to take someone higher than you to be able to help you resolve that issue, okay? Same thing for mental illness, guys. It's not easy. Um, Therapy, psychology, and meds does not solve it, but yes, it does manage it. Just like blood pressure. Anyone that gets that, 9 times out of 10, you're going to forever have the blood pressure, but giving your meds and your diet is controllable, right? So I just wanted to give a little insight to those that may not be aware of exactly what mental illness entails and what we go through, like the bipolar PTSD thing. Like I never know when that's going to flare up. I try to make it my business to stay away from certain triggers, right? Things that I know are going to upset me. I've been trained by 20, 30 years of psychology to take deep breaths, to think of something positive, to even try to walk away from the situation. The episode I had this past week, you couldn't walk away from because it was in my brain. I still have not fully recovered from my mom's death. Um, Mommy went home to glory the last Friday in May, and I saw my mama take her. mm, I saw my mama take her last breath. Now, I'm told by some that that's a blessing. I get it. It's one thing, guys, to read in the Bible about someone giving up the ghost, right? Well, for me, can't speak for anybody else, but for me, watching your best friend, your mama, give up the ghost, I don't think I'm ever going to get over that. I think that one day, by the grace of God, I will learn how to cope with it, but actually getting over it, I don't think so, guys. So Then life, the job that I'm on, I'm grateful, but it's so, kind of laborious. I guess is the right word for it. And sometimes my feet hurt, my back hurts, so that didn't help any. And then I'm in a customer service capacity, and anyone that's familiar with customer service at all, the customer's always right, but sometimes they're wrong, but we have to let them be right, right? That's the only way you survive in any capacity of customer service. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut this down. Just if you guys didn't get anything else out of this broadcast, stop looking at us funny. Stop isolating us. Stop talking behind us about us behind our backs. We know, even though we don't hear you, we know, we feel it. Um, Understand that mental illness is no different than physical illness. It's just a different kind of illness. That's all. And I ask also that you continue to pray for me as I continue to try to get through this journey without my mom and my dad and my mama. You guys be cool. Let's cancel the stigma on mental illness. We matter too. And that's BonaFide Talk. Y'all be cool now. Love you.